All right, we're ready to go. Hi, everybody. This is Laura. I am one of the district technology coaches for the Worcester Public Schools, and we have Colleen Dyer with us, who is the English Language Arts Liaison. Hi, Colleen.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us.
I'm ready to go, ready to rock and roll. I am so glad to have this opportunity actually to be able to give a summary of the curriculum we use in the Worcester Public Schools for ELA throughout all the grade levels. So I'm happy to be joining you tonight. My name is Colleen Dyer, as you said, and I work for the Office of Curriculum and Professional Learning as the ELA liaison. My job is to create and develop curriculum as well as assist in the implementation of curriculum and work with our teachers, coaches, and things of that nature in the district. So the first question that you might actually have coming to something like this is, what is curriculum? And there are actually some misconceptions, because lots of people think that curriculum is the textbook that your child brings home, or just the unit that you're using or something of that nature, but it's actually much, much bigger than that. Curriculum begins with our standards. So we begin everything with our standards that we're teaching. And then within that curriculum is the units that you may be developing, the stories you may be using, the videos you may be using, the assignments and projects, the assessments that you give throughout to check for understanding. So curriculum actually embodies everything that we use to teach the children the standards that we need to teach them. We follow the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks. And this framework provides us with a shared expectation of what our kids need to know. It unifies us across Massachusetts. It gives us a tight framework. However, it gives us some flexibility in how we bring the message across to our students. At the bottom here, you'll see the website for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. There on this link, you will find the link to all of the frameworks. So not just ELA, it'll bring you to science and social studies and all of the frameworks, which are there in multiple languages for you to be able to look at if you choose. So for English language arts, I've divided it this evening into the kinds of resources that we use. So we have certain sets of resources that we use to bring the curriculum to our students, and that's how we've divided it today. So the first group we're going to talk about will be our youngest ones, our pre-K through 3. First, we have pre-K, and our pre-K, our youngest learners, are working on truly concepts of print. They're understanding all of the things that go along with just looking at print and how to manage print. They're using a program called Lively Letters. They're working on language development and vocabulary and very, very beginning of writing. Now we're going to actually jump over to the side where you see Clever. Our students have Clever accounts. It's a single sign-on that all students have that houses all of the apps that they need to do the work within their classrooms. Two resources that we have for our students for pre-K through 3 in Clever would be Lexia and Myon. Lexia is it's a program that is engaging and meets the kids where they're at. It works on what they need and creates engaging experiences for them to interact with video, and they really seem to they like to use it. Myon is a different kind of app. This is actually newer to us. On Myon, it's an independent reading library. So I'm going to actually click off for a moment and show you. Myon allows our students in the Worcester Public Schools to access many, many, many chapter books, picture books, all of these things that we're using to offer voice and choice in independent reading. So it allows the kids to have ownership of what they're reading and enjoy these books. And our goal really of every English language arts program is to fall in love with books. So this is something that we're using this year, and we're really encouraging students to jump into these books and enjoy them. So that is in the Students Clever account. For resources for K to 3, we're using Fountas and Pinnell. And Fountas and Pinnell is Fountas and Pinnell has many different aspects or components in the program. The goal is to create a rich experience filled with authentic opportunities to really enjoy books. That's really the goal. They enjoy reading. They read together with the teachers. They read by themselves. When we look on the side here, we see the different components within your ELA block for grades K through 3. You have small group instruction. During small group instruction in your ELA block, students will be pulled out. They'll work specifically with the teachers on explicit skills that they may need. We have shared reading, and in shared reading, the students enjoy reading with the teacher. They focus on specific things, and they read together as a class and chorally. We have phonics and word study, where they work on word work and things of that nature. And then we have reading mini lessons. And you may see something like this that your students would be working on. In these mini lessons, the teachers and students work together and really dig into what these books mean. So they create anchor charts together, digging into various picture books and creating these authentically together. So this is a teamwork. They go in and they read the books and they bring all of the material together and create these anchor charts that they can use as references when they're doing their independent reading and they're working on this. So we'll notice that this one says, what the characters think, say, and do shows how they're feeling. So as the students and the teachers are working with the books and they're coming up with all of these answers and having conversation and working together, they then can use that when they're in that independent reading on Myon. They can apply these strategies and then they themselves start to think, why are these characters saying this? Why are these characters doing this? So that's when we're doing our reading mini lessons. We also have what I consider the cornerstone or the real focus of Fountas and Pinnell instruction, and that's the interactive read aloud. So when students are participating in an interactive read aloud with their teachers, they're sitting, you would consider it almost like rug time, right? So they're sitting and they're listening to the teacher, but it's not just listening to a story. It's active listening to a story. So as the teacher is reading, she's asking questions and things of that nature of the students and engaging them in the text with each other. So an example of an interactive read aloud would be something of this nature.
It says that they're tasting batter. Do you know what batter is?
Batter is ingredients.
Batter is part of the ingredients to make what?
Cake.
The cake, right. Why do we think Elizabeth keeps doing what her mama's doing? What do you think? Mooney?
Because she wants to learn how to take care of babies.
What do you do?
So you'll notice it's not the teacher just reading this book to the students. It's actually the students engaging with the book and enjoying it with the teacher and learning the whole time. So these are the resources that we use for pre-K through 3 during our ELA block. Schedule-wise, for kindergarten through 3, the district is using a time where it would be about an hour and a half for ELA. That hour and a half can be broken up in different ways. And different times during the day, the students might also do a little more ELA, but the basic thing is about an hour and a half. They'll have 45 minutes of a live session, about a half hour of time where they're working independently, and then a little bit of a check-in at the end. So let's move on to grades 4 through 6. So in grades 4 through 6, we again have Clever, our single sign-on. We have Lexia, which is the program that the students use that engages them in learning. We have Myon again for our independent reading. But along with that, we have something that Read Side by Side. So Read Side by Side takes that Reader's Workshop model that they were learning in Fountas and Pinnell and raises it up a bit. So now, because we're working with grades 4 through 6, we're really looking into chapter books. So now they're reading their chapter books. They're learning specific skills within those through mini lessons, and then they're applying those in either book clubs or independent reading. So when the students are reading with the teachers, they're practicing standards-based skills, creating anchor charts together and things of that nature, and then go off to explore their independent reading book or their book club book and apply these skills and strategies. Our main focus for grades 4 through 6 would be discourse, talking, people that are talking or learning, would be close and critical reading. So really spending time looking deeply within the text to find why and how the authors write instead of just reading. So now they're really digging in and investigating how and why the authors chose certain words, how and why the author organized the book in such a way, and then writing. So our main focus would be discourse, close reading, and writing every day. Again, our schedule here would be a similar schedule, an hour and a half. So they would have their time with their teacher, 45 minutes, and then they would have some time to do some independent work and a check-in. We're also using Fountas and Pinnell in our 4 to 6 block to really bring more depth and add different mini lessons and engaging activities in that way. Another portion of Read Side by Side that's excellent is that it brings in outside texts. So we want our kids to be able to look at multiple texts from multiple genres and synthesize them together. So it may bring informational text. We may bring in poetry. We may bring in informational and poetry and really synthesize it together to get a common theme. So we're not using just one text. We're using multiple texts to build that robust curriculum so the students are really learning how to think critically about different kinds of writing. So for middle and high school, I actually lumped those two together because they share the same resources. So we put them together. Again, Clever with our single sign-on. Grades 6 through 12 move from Lexia to Power Up. From 6 through 12, the standards change, so they're lumped a little bit differently. So that's a little change there. Mayon is the same process, but it's independent reading books for our middle and high school students. And McGraw-Hill is the textbook resource that we use. If you look over here to the side, you see an icon called, and it says Study Sync. Study Sync is actually the program housed within McGraw-Hill that we're using for our ELA this year. I'm going to click off so we can see for a moment. Study Sync does exactly what I was just describing for our younger children. It allows us to look at certain themes, but within these themes, it has multiple texts. There are two things with Study Sync. There's the textbook, the traditional textbook, and then there's the online platform. This is our online platform. It's constantly building. When you generally buy a textbook, you get your, beginning to end, page 1 to the end. Now we have this online platform that's constantly updated. So every week they add 5 to 10 new things, whether it be an informational article or a video, and there's multimedia included in all. So when we look at this, we see that there's multiple texts included. There can be videos included as well. So it's very engaging for the kids to interact with. Our main focus within this is reading multiple texts, annotating, and critical thinking. So once again, our 4 through 6, we were focusing on discourse, close reading, and writing. We have the same focus in our middle and high school. We're trying to keep consistent language going up so that as the students grow in their skills, our language stays the same. So close and critical reading is very important in our middle and high school as they're really encountering complex texts, and having those skills to discuss them, dig into them, and analyze them is extremely important. And writing. So I know I've said writing a lot, but I haven't given you much detail. So here's our detail for writing. In the Worcester Public Schools, from grades 3 through 12, our entire district uses self-regulated strategy development in grades 3 to 12. Self-regulated strategy development is not a writing curriculum. It's a set of powerful and explicit strategies embedded into our writing instruction. So it can be applied to any kinds of writing. So from grades 3 through 12, we use these strategies, and the main focus, or the main goal, I should say, the core, is self-talk and goal setting. We want our kids to be able to take out our negative thoughts, put in our positive thoughts, and attack any task, knowing that as long as they try their hardest and do their best, then they've done what they can. Goal setting, especially nowadays, I think that we really need to work on helping our kids create manageable goals and then help them work toward them. And that really is the core of self-regulated strategy development. It's a set of strategies that really focus on the whole student. While working through self-regulated strategy development, we focus on close reading to begin with, which we've said all the way up as well, that critical thinking of looking at how a text is written and be able to analyze it. Organizing, we teach the students to not just jump into writing, but slow down and think and organize and plan. So we use a mnemonic called TIDE for that, for informational and literary analysis and opinion. T would be your topic, your thesis. I would be important evidence. D would be that detailed analysis that students really think about what they're writing and think about that evidence. And E is obviously your ending. So teaching the kids to slow down, plan thoughtfully before they write is a skill that goes far past English class, far past high school, and it's something that they'll be able to have with them. We use exemplars in SRSD, and these exemplars show students what our goals would be. So they show students exemplar models. You work together, you pull them apart, and you figure out what does really good writing look like. I always equate it to the picture in the recipe book. Show them what done looks like so that they can really reach for it. Color coding, making the visible and making it a visible strategy for them. So teaching them to color code their writing with the colors that we use in TIDE. So if you notice, your students may have something that has green color coding for TIDE for their topic, yellow for their important evidence, D again for that detailed analysis that you'll see. Teaching the kids to look thoughtfully at their writing and to analyze to see if it's missing something before it's due allows them that self-regulation where they can actually go back and fix and make better. So it's not a matter of just passing it in, it's a matter of working at it and making it the best that you can. Modeling, think alouds, where the teacher is actually showing the students exactly what they would do. So it's making their thinking visible. And all of this is happening while fostering that positive mindset, self-talk, and goal setting. So while writing and digging into these multiple tasks is difficult, it's a hard job that we're asking our kids to do. Putting in all of these strategies to help them and give them that positive mindset and that goal setting, that's what they're going to carry with them. And that's what allows them to push themselves further and really work to achieve as much as they can. On here, we also have a link that has a parent's guide that goes along with this. So these will be available on the slides. And here it really goes into a little more depth and explains to you what happens when you're really teaching these explicit strategies. It talks about structure and goals and the difference between writing just to make sure you're spelling everything correctly or your handwriting and writing for content. So that is all we have today. We've covered our curriculum and we've talked about our all of the work that we're doing in ELA for pre-K through 12. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. I have my name and my email here if you'd like to reach out if you have any questions. And I also thank you from our Office of Curriculum and Professional Learning. And if there's anything I can do, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.